Good morning, everyone. My name is Josh Blaylock, and this is the Skype for Business recap. It is week 5 of the recap, episode 5, and please bear with me this week. My throat has been feeling a bit raw the last couple days, so if I sound a bit froggier than normal, please bear with me and forgive me for that. I'll try to keep it fairly short today because, to be honest, it was a busy week for me, and so I don't know if there just wasn't as much going on in the community as usual, or if I just didn't have enough time to be immersed in what was happening in the community because things were just really busy on the work side of things. Either way, I've collected a few notes that I thought were things to mention, and then a few personal notes as well. So I'll kind of touch on the personal things that really have more to do with my own personal rebranding of Twitter handle, blog, etc., and and then my attendance of the Lync User Group in Charlotte. I'll save those things for the end, and we'll start out with the first two items, the only two items that I really have to mention about the week. Excuse me, there's some of that frogginess. Uh, like I said, two items. The first one is I did see quite a bit of chatter about this on Twitter this week, and this was about the cumulative update for November that was released for the Lync Room System. The biggest thing everyone was talking about when it came to this update was that it essentially brought the skin, the user interface, away from the Lync design and over to the Skype for Business logo, skin, colors, graphics, all that stuff. So kind of a refinishing of the product there just to give it a rebranding. But and there's a little bit of extra functionality. For instance, they also enable system administrators to prevent subject line information from being displayed on the meeting calendar. And the CU also includes a whole number of updates as CUs do. What else is new about it? It fixes an issue in which an incoming 1080p video stream is limited to display in 720p resolution. And then it also addresses a number of other smaller bugs, etc. So, nothing major there. The biggest thing and what everybody was talking about was that it was another step in the rebranding of the various endpoints that can connect into Skype for Business. So a great number of you shared screenshots of what it looks like now. Looks clean, looks good. Looks like you didn't have any problems getting it set up and running in your environment. So good stuff. Congrats there. And if you manage a Lync Room system and were not aware of it, now you know. KB article 3108096. Check it out. And then moving on, we have an event that happened this week, and this was over in the UK, and it's Future Decoded. Future Decoded, in Microsoft's own words on their Future Decoded website, was a landmark event featuring some of the brightest minds sharing their views on what the future holds for business, society, leadership, technology, and more. So sounds cool, right? About 3,600 people attended. Said there was a ton more on Twitter that followed the event, so that's pretty cool. I watched a few of the highlight videos that Microsoft has on this Future Decoded on-demand hub website that they've got. Kind of little walkthroughs and overviews of the event. I didn't see any huge headline-making announcements or anything like that going on. I think it was more of a chance for Microsoft to have their own booth set up to go over everything from Windows 10 to Internet of Things to mobile, and then for other vendors to come in and discuss whatever number of solutions they have that are building towards these new solutions of the future. That there was a lot of focus on startups, it looks like, at least from the videos that I watched. So it looked like more of a time to just kind of collaborate, bring ideas to the table, go over what's going on in the lives of startups and how current technologies are helping, building up toward the future. So it looked like a good event to attend if you were nearby. It certainly doesn't look like it was the kind that had the fanfare and the attendance or the big earth-shaking announcements that like Ignite or one of these other big conferences does. But that was over in the UK. From the Twitter feed, I noticed a couple of familiar companies there. Modality Systems had a booth set up, and there were a couple others I saw. So, yeah, good times. If you got to be there and thought it was worthwhile and want to share any thoughts, feel free to drop a comment on the video or on the blog, either place. I'd be interested to know a little bit more firsthand, kind of your take on the event. So. All right, those two things, Lync Room System and Future Decoded. Those were the two big updates I had for the week, honestly. The next couple things was, first, I got to attend my first Lync Users Group this week. That was super cool. I've been looking forward to doing that for some time. I signed up for the Charlotte Lync Users Group on meetup.com, and I know that there are a ton more scattered throughout the country. The big one that I see talked about quite often from a lot of key players in the Skype for Business realm is the Chicago Users Group. And, of course, Jeff Schertz heads up that one, and he is also on the board for the overall Skype Users Group. So there's a lot of groups out there in different parts of the country. I would highly recommend you find the one that's nearest to you and get involved. If you are an invested member in the Skype for Business community, it is a super great way to connect with other people who are living the product, who are deploying the product on large scales in big companies across the country. This is a great chance to network, a great chance to connect, a great chance to get really well put together demos by perhaps third-party vendors who offer tightly integrated solutions, or just other leaders in the community who are there to talk in depth about a topic. It's a great place. It's a great venue. I think they're all free to attend. You just have to RSVP. If they're not all free, sorry for that information, but the Charlotte one, there was nothing to be paid. We went there, we had lunch. We saw a demo by Prognosis, by IR on Prognosis, which is an integrator of many vendors from Cisco to Avaya and on up through Skype for Business. And they kind of aggregate all this call quality data and send it to their own server where you can then troubleshoot things in real time instead of referencing them in the archive after the fact in SQL. And this allows you to pinpoint ongoing network issues and with a lot more control instead of kind of being lost in a sticky situation like, hey, I'm having a problem with pixelation on my video, or my audio is really choppy, or my calls keep dropping, and you try to say there's probably a problem with the network, and no one ever wants to hear that. It's got to be Skype for Business or Lync. This tool does a great job of actually collecting all this real-time data and showing you where along the way your problem actually is. I'm not able to really dive into a huge amount of technical detail on it, so I don't want to butcher what the product does too much. But if that sounds at all interesting to you, check out Prognosis by IR. They were presenting at the Charlotte Lync Users Group. I think they've been making the rounds across several Lync user groups across the country in the last bit here, and good tool for what they do. So the other cool bit of information from that after the open forum discussion time, which was also very good and enlightening, was that I won a Plantronics Voyager Focus headset. So that's awesome. The first time there, I won one of the raffles. And there was a Plantronics rep on site who was giving away a few devices through this raffle, and she personally recommended this. And after going over everything it does and what situations it's best suited for, I am super stoked to get this headset in the mail. This is going to be awesome. So now when the dogs decide to bark in the middle of the day, or kids are suddenly having a freak out upstairs, I'll have all that noise cancellation going on, and it's going to be beautiful. So thank you, Plantronics. Awesome. And thank you to the guys who organized the Lync Users Group in Charlotte. Again, if you are not involved in one of those groups, I highly recommend you attend the next one and at least check it out. So the next thing, and the last thing I want to touch on is I went through a bit of a rebranding this week. There was quite a bit of confusion in a few different forums about my actual handle or blog URL. It was MSUC Guy. Now, MS was supposed to stand for Microsoft, But I heard everything from Miss UC Guy to I don't even know what the MS is for. What is this? And I didn't want to actually spell out the word Microsoft because on Twitter there actually already is a at Microsoft UC Guy, and so there was already some similarities drawn there. I didn't want to increase that confusion at all or step on anyone's toes. So I said, you know what? I'm still fairly young in my social initiatives. I've built up a decent little, I finally cracked the 100 follower threshold this week on Twitter. And I have about, I don't know, I don't know, I'm getting about 50 views a week on the videos when I launch them on YouTube. So that's pretty decent. And I have quite a bit of hits on my blog. But it was still fairly young, and before I got too far along in it, I wanted to get something new and fresh and totally my own established. So that is why I decided to make the change. The same URLs that are out there will still go to the blog for now. Eventually they'll change, but the new blog is officially blog.get-csjosh, and the Twitter handle is Get-CsJosh. And for those of you that may not make that connection immediately, although most of you that work with Skype for Business have totally made that connection, get-cs is the PowerShell commandlet, or is the way that each Skype for Business PowerShell commandlet starts. So get-cs user or enable-cs computer. The -cs is the key there, and so I used the get verb and inserted my name, get-csjosh. Very nerdy, I know, and that's totally fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with being nerdy, but that's the new name. So the Twitter handle has changed. The blog has changed. MSUC Guy URLs are still going to go back to it for quite some time. I will maintain the domain name for quite a while, but those are the new URLs. On top of that, I am getting ready in the next day or two here to publicly launch a website that is I've built on SharePoint Online using my own personal Office 365 tenant, and it's essentially going to just be a hub for all my initiatives. I'll make it www.get-csjosh.com once it's launched, and it's going to have in the menu a link to the blog, a link to my YouTube channel, a link to audio only section for the Skype for Business recap episodes. I've had a number of people request audio only, so I've already put that together. I just have to flip the switch and turn it on. So for those of you that don't want to look at me anymore, but you want to hear what I got to say, that is going to be available very soon. So that's out there. A little about me section, a little contact section, and then I anticipate having a couple sections. One to kind of give you a good comprehensive listing of all these third-party tools that community members have built and put out there to enhance your engineering and architecture experience. And then another section that will kind of be an aggregation of all the top community leader blogs out there. Blogs that I think have really added a lot of value to the community. And so I'll also put that list together and have it there. That's about it for now. That's what the site's going to be, and I will launch it very soon. Make a note of it on Twitter, make a note of it on my blog, and put a shout out on LinkedIn as well. And that's all I've got for this week. Like I said, it seemed to be a quiet week in the community for the most part from what I observed. And if it wasn't, then I apologize. It just means I've been too busy at work. But anyway, it's about time to get back to that anyway. Like I mentioned earlier, I've got some things to wrap up. So thank you for watching again this week. I really appreciate the support you guys have given, both by viewing and by spreading the word on Twitter. You guys have been awesome. Hopefully we'll see you again next Friday. In the meantime, you have a awesome and restful weekend and enjoy next week. Thank you and adios.